Hey there, I'm Parker Rex. I led tech for a startup that sold for 23 million bucks. After that, I raised a little bit of angel money and tried my hand at building Airbnb for music. It was a pretty silly idea, but the technology was great. And then after that, I've just been paying myself through doing AI services to go all in full time on this AI space. So I think it'd be hard to find someone that's spending more time thinking about the future, thinking about how to actually use AI every day in both your personal life and in your business life to advance. So I'm all in on this stuff. And on this channel, we go through a couple different things every single day. We go through some questions and answers that come in. So any questions that people have about how to use AI, any of the topics that I cover, you can just drop a question. I encourage you to drop a question on any one of these videos and I'll be going through them. We go through some AI news through the lens of someone who's using AI every single day to try to get leverage. So I only talk about the things that I think are high impact. We go through some of the strategy that I'm doing to try to get the most leverage out of AI, building both a SaaS product, a media company, and doing AI services. And then we go through a roadmap, which is just some of the stuff that I plan to build soon and how I think about it. So cool. Let's start with the questions and answers. We got a bunch of them that came in, which is great. Let's see. Am I on the wrong channel? Yeah, I'm on the wrong channel. Whoops. That's the main channel. I have another channel that I'm going to be posting a bunch of content on that will be specific to like different use cases. So inside of the community, inside of the brand that I'm building called Vibe with AI, I'll be going through all of these different use cases of how I use AI. And these are actual ones that I use pretty much every single day. And then I'll be picking the best ones out of there. So if there's like 30 in here, I'll probably take like the best 5 and post them on that channel, just so you know. So worth checking that out. And then this is the daily upload channel. So questions. We have a bunch of them. Hey, Vibe TV by Basil. Thank you. So we're going to start out with Ayush Patil AI. Hey Parker, I'm 17 and I've been hearing about agents everywhere on my X feed and YouTube recommendations. Let's make this bigger. That was a question or a comment I got. Make the stuff bigger. So there we go. About agents everywhere on my X feed and my YouTube recommendations. I know that the best way for me to learn would be to build something, but I don't know what's possible and what are the right tools to be messing around with. I'd be experimenting with all the new models and Gumloop. Any suggestions? Yeah. So we DM'd already on Twitter, and I just wanted to say, like, first off, if you're 17 and you're thinking about this stuff, that's awesome. You're ahead of most of the world, which is crazy. And it is true. The best way for you to learn is to build something because that'll force you to learn something. So always start through the lens of a problem that you personally want to solve. So I find this most helpful. And I got this from Peter Levels, who, if you're not familiar, he's an indie hacker and he wrote a book called The Make Handbook. But if you have a problem that you personally want to solve, and it could be really small, it will push you through to figuring out how to do all the things involved. So I'm going to use a silly problem. Let's say my problem is I want to put together an ongoing curriculum of AI topics to learn. So I want to I need to learn AI. Let's use that. I need to learn popular AI technologies. That's my problem. And that's actually your problem. So this is great. So then you'd ask yourself, okay, well, I could learn it the old fashioned way, but that'd be silly. What are better ways to learn? Okay, well, maybe I can use chat.com or chat GPT to set up some basic tasks where I could go in and I'd figure out, oh, I know that this thing can proactively message me updates because I can feed it the things that I want. I can show you an example. So I'd go in and I'd switch this over to scheduled tasks. And I could just say, I'm trying to learn AI. These are the following technologies I think that are replicable. And these are the things that I'm trying to build. Then you can set this on a schedule where it will message you and you'll get a notification with a certain topic. That's one way to do it. But you've then, by having started with that problem, you've come up with a solution and then you've gone and maybe I always refer to the docs. So I'd go to OpenAI docs scheduled tasks. I did this when I was working on something with a friend for crypto stuff. And you could then see the help center. How do these work? What do I need to do? And you could become the best person or one of the best people at actually learning how tasks work and coming up with interesting use cases, things that help yourself. And then you can go and talk about it on the internet and document that. And then people come to you to learn about that. They'll follow you. You'll gain friendships through it. You'll gain a network out of it. And that's kind of the combination, which I really preach, which is code plus media. Those are the highest levered things, especially in the AI era, the era of abundance. The media one becomes more and more important. So I would start with, again, like coming up with some sort of problem that you have and then go find ways to solve it. There's going to be 50 ways that you could try to solve this. There's another one you could use. It's called the fisherman prompt. And that's in my Airtable. If you go to parkerx.com and then you go to the AI tools database, under here, there will be a prompt, and I'm going to change this because I hate that Airtable just takes absolutely forever to load in, even if it does. There we go. Come on, Airtable. But there's a prompt in here that's called the fisherman prompt, if I could find it. And what it does is it basically breaks apart topics that you're trying to learn into bite-sized lessons. So let me see, maybe it's in Obsidian. Second. This prompt should be helpful. If you want the fisherman prompt, then drop the comment or actually just say, I want the fisherman prompt below. And let's open up, what was it? Fisherman prompt. Here we go. So I'm a insert name of your level, profession. So these are tags. These are XML tags, which you should use for prompting, and you can learn more about that in the program or just watch one of the videos when it comes out on my main channel. And I want to learn topics so I can objective. So it'd be, I am a beginner developer and I want to learn how to use AI so I can get leverage for businesses for myself. So follow the rules below to generate a comprehensive yet concise mini course. And then you basically list out these subtopics. So yours might be that you want to do some no code stuff that has AI in it. So you might put N8N or Make, or you might say, I want to learn how Python applies to it, or I want to learn how the Vercel AI SDK works. And this would be something that you just tell to your ChatGPT instance and then go through it and make it a practice of 30 minutes a day. As a habit, I'm going to go and do this. You'd be surprised. I did this for TypeScript because I didn't know everything about TypeScript. You don't need to know all of it, but there's certain things that you should know. And this does a really good job of getting that 80-20 or the Pareto principle. So that's what I do. I'd get really good at figuring out how to identify problems in your day. And Peter Levels from his book is basically like, no problem is too small. Just make a list of them, keep it in an Apple Note, keep it wherever. And then when you want to go learn, use that as the starting point for your learning journey. So thanks for the question. When it comes to different models, like you can try them all, but there's just a couple of main players in there that I really think only matter. And I talk about this in the video I'm going to make for Vibe, but it's basically like there's Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and X. If you just stuck with one of them, you'd be in a great place. So I would use Google because it's free and they right now have the best stuff. So I'd hone in on that. And then Gumloop is just another no-code tool. Maybe pick a no-code tool as well, but try to kind of like narrow it to don't jump tools every single day, especially when you're learning. So thanks for the question. Linus says, you're my AI news now, by the way. Awesome. Love to hear that. The iPhone cat guy, he has like maybe the most epic avatar in here. I need to make a badge for most epic avatar. So people that comment that have the most epic avatar get the badge. That'd be kind of cool. Ayush, thanks for the second question. What do you use to record? I use OBS Studio. So it allows me to change the setup and the scenes for it. So in order to make a video every day, the production needs to be really quick. So OBS lets you just switch between scenes. So if I go full screen, like I do at the beginning, then it's just a click of a button. I don't have to edit that. And other things you can do with it when I get a better machine. I'm on an M1 Mac Pro. Like I maxed one out when I got the M1, but you can add more stuff on top of it. But I already have a lot of the things running. But I can add like a browser as an object on top of there, and then I can put code over the top, meaning like I can have actions that occur based on keystrokes, or I can have timers, I can have a progress bar. So similar, like right now you're watching this video and there's going to be chapter markers that are generated with AI. And I want to in the future use OBS and a browser and a not prompt injection, code injection that takes those chapter markers and then shows the progress bar across time programmatically rather than editing it. So you kind of brush over Google Cloud. I think it's a great tool. Yes. What other things does it have, or what other alpha tools do you know about that Twitter is not focusing on? Yeah. So the thing with this is I can't go super in depth on these every single topic, or I could, but it would be like the majority of the video. So what I can do is I'll make a video specific to using this. This is the AI Studio. I think it's good where you go from when you're prompting something, if it's really basic, you can get away with just using Gemini and a web app. I wouldn't, because I like the control of it. But then the second level to that is the AI Studio, where you can do a little bit more. And then finally, you have Vertex, which is just the best one. So I'll make a note to make a video on Vertex AI as I use it more. But yeah, it's to me the best one because it ties together all the things. So it's like if I have just basic Gemini web app, and this applies to all the different places you can use, all the different model providers. But typically it's like this is like level 1, and then level 2 is the playground, and you get a lot more customization. You can play with the temperature and whatnot. And then level 3 is actually the cloud provider level. And this would be through something like Azure or Bedrock through Amazon, or the Vertex AI through Google. And these ones are just the best ones. I've built stuff in Azure. I'm starting to build stuff in Vertex, and I'm going all in on Vertex because Azure is such a pain in the butt. The only reason I used it is because I got $10,000 in credits, and I ripped through those by basically running a bunch of betting stuff against a bunch of data that I had. So I'll make a video about that. And okay, so I think that brings us to the news. Yeah. Oh no, there are more. Wow. Okay, enjoyed your vid, man. Thank you. What automation should I build on NAN to understand what's possible? It starts again with a problem. It's kind of like the thing that I said. You can go, and another tip for this is to indoctrinate yourself, is really what you're doing. You're like marinating your brain in this sort of content. Is if your TikTok is full of garbage, then you're going to fill your brain full of garbage. But if you can go and change your algorithms on all the social media apps that you use, in TikTok, you can actually reset your algo. And what I recommend is then just typing in like N8N, typing in Make, typing in Python, typing in Next.js, typing in Vercel, typing in ChatGPT, all these keywords, and then go and like them. And don't like and then leave. Actually let it play out. Watch the thing, because that's the engagement metric that they use to tune your algorithm. And when people think of the algorithm in a negative way, they're like, oh, like, especially on the creator side, they're like, the algorithm, it's this black box. No, it's not. These are the most state of the art AI models that are trained to reflect what you like. So if you're seeing stuff and you're wondering why they're showing you it, it's because you watch it. They know you better than you. So go reset it and then start doing that. And then you'll eventually find a real use case. You can watch a bunch of them, like these long courses, but it's, the best way to learn is actually by doing it. And so make a basic automation where everyone has email. Go and try to figure out how to set up an email that figures out all this information about a person that emailed you. That'd be a good one. That's just a lead enrichment thing where it's like, you could do that every time you get an email. You have the option to run this. You could run it once where, okay, everything that's in my inbox that's not archived, go run a scrape against their personal website. Okay, well, how do you get that? You'd lay out the things that you want to do with it. And the end goal being, in this case, I want to know a bunch of stuff about this person. I want to be able to craft a personalized email. I want to be able to figure out what is an asset that I can create for them, or what is a piece of value I can make for them in exchange to work with them. That'd be a really good start. and you just pick one of those and you go and build it. And yeah, it's the same thing as before. The best way to learn it is by doing it. So my question is, what is the thing I should build to understand high level automation? Anything. Some of the best automations actually just look like two nodes. Like you'll see these videos when you go and reset your algos on these platforms, you'll notice that the ones that have like 90K likes are probably like more simple, but the ones that get like 9 million likes are the ones where there's like a gajillion nodes. And it's like, I built a version of Superman that I can talk to. And it has like a funny voice. And it's really cool. And I can ask it to update my tasks and play a song for me. It's like, okay, well, actually, that's going to cost more, be more annoying to use than just doing the thing yourself most of the time. So I will just say that like, a lot of the sensationalized ones work better for generating clicks, and then they funnel them into a program that teaches you stuff that like is really just a bar trick. So be careful of that. Go build something that actually solves your own problem. Turns out your problems are probably shared with other people. What are some tools that I should be building in terms of having high reusability and having great business value for users? I actually talked about this with someone on our channel the other day. So what I would do is I think everyone needs to get more technical. I don't think that becoming like the make wizard is a long-term solution. I think you need to code. So I would go and I would look at these Vercel templates and try to reverse engineer some of the ones in AI. I would go and figure out, how does this Next.js AI chatbot work? I built one of the first ones of these in Swift, literally the week it came out. And because I did that, because I open sourced this tech and I made like an AI SDK for Swift, I got friendly with some of the people at Apple. I got a bunch of people to follow me and then become friends. And I would just go and get more technical. Like, again, it's going to start with, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Like, okay, if you're trying to get more technical, go and take one of these, pull it down, and then rebuild it from scratch. And that's how you'll learn. And it's not like you don't have the end solution, right? It's like if you have a test and you have the quiz solutions at the end, it's like, okay, well, how did they get there? And you work backwards from it. Some of them would be like this Next JS live transcription. You can just see like what's in here. So like this uses DeepGram. DeepGram is like the best at basically transcribing stuff. Maybe it's not the best anymore. We used it at a client project like 3 months ago, so could be better. But I would do that. I would use their templates. I would go on GitHub and I would search different projects that I want to figure out. Like there's a really popular one called Khoj, Khoj, and this one will teach you basically what would like a model aggregator look like with saved prompt templates. It's your AI second brain, self-hostable. So like this would be like level 5 out of 10. Like you can go all the way to like super nerd, but this would be, okay, I want to learn how to make different versions of chatbots. I want to learn about self-hosting. So yeah, that's what I would do. Thank you again for the question. And then, do you have other YouTube channels? Yeah, I do. I have it's at Parker Rex. So just take the daily off of the username and you'll land there. That was primarily product management content. So if I look at channel and I flip to this and I go to oldest, you'll see that this is all product management. So this is me building in public and like lessons learned from 0 to 50 million. This one was really interesting. I like live vlogged us building a new set of features for a new business line that we launched to 500,000 people in 3 days. So I've been in this game for a while now. I'm just, again, like full time on leveraging AI. So I really would find it hard to find someone else that's spending as much time on it as me. So yeah, thanks again for the question. Love your videos. This is my fiance. She's awesome. She's sitting here listening to me yap. So she's putting up with me. And then that's it for the questions. Let's go into news. So AI news. This guy, Greg, let's start here. This guy is awesome. He writes a lot about communities and building out stuff in the AI era. You've probably seen him on YouTube. He's much larger than me. But I want to go through some of these. So this is what keeping me up at night these days. And I bet you this thread is going to have like a bazillion bookmarks in a little bit. So ChatGPT 4.0 images as big as the ChatGPT launch, probably birthed 1,000 $1 to $100 million vertical software businesses. I totally agree, because you can look at something like this where people are taking this to make like pretty awesome landing pages, like just off the rip. And very cool. So it's only going to get better. And you can imagine that you'd take one of these and you'd build a product where it's like, okay, you upload the photo gives you this, but it's a flat image and you can get the JSON, but then you need to turn that into Figma node code so that you can take those Figma JSON outputs and then put them into Figma because you want to touch them up. You want to make those changes. And so from there, then you'd have the Figma, you'd be able to make it look unique, which is still like there's gonna be a premium on not looking like it's generated by AI because everyone's gonna have this soon. So then the alpha will be making it better. So you're still gonna need to know how to design. There'll probably be tools in Figma. They're starting to launch some AI stuff now. But having each one of these steps where it goes sketch to prototype flat, and then flat prototype to Figma to plus up, ideally using AI, and then ultimately taking that and then doing code gen on it and then plus up. So there's human in the loop on every step. Eventually, 2-3 years from now, you could just upload it and it'll give you the code. But right now, I've used every single one of those Figma plugins, and then they're pretty mid. So we're in the MP3 Napster era of content. I agree. This is why it needs to stand out. So in order to basically stand out, you have to be unique. You have to have a proof that people should listen to you. You have to have interesting stuff that stands out, and you are the moat. It's you. Like no one can AI you. They're gonna rip your content most likely and remix it because everyone's making these parasite systems. That's a huge reason why I'm building a community. That's why I'm like leaning into both code and media. So every calendar will be rebuilt from scratch. Totally agree. I actually rebuilt an inbox, rebuilt a calendar and a CRM, so I know that. I thought I was building digital employees, but it's more like digital employers. The first AI systems can manage human workers, will cause a restructuring of the labor markets. Yeah, that is interesting, but this isn't totally new. There's a thing that was called Mechanical Turk, and it's an Amazon service where they basically used labor arbitrage in different countries at scale, meaning like you could just flip on a switch and then have a task done by what was called Mechanical Turk, but it was really just people in different like low wage countries. What I do think is interesting here is, you know, you have task dependencies in any process. And so the difference now is that they're just going to be much cleaner. So if we think about it, like when I ran a bunch of engineering teams, when I would run our entrepreneur operating system for our company, like I'd set up systems in Asana. And in Asana, you might have a project. And in that project, you'd have the goal of the project, and then you'd have all the tasks of the project, right? And so what would happen is you'd have all these, and then some of them would be red because they're dependent on someone before them. And that way, each one of these would be assigned to someone. So it's like, okay, Parker, Scott, Jay, Kale. Like they all have like different things that they need to do in here that are waterfalling to the next one. It doesn't mean like, oh, waterfall versus agile. Like we're not talking about product management stuff. We're talking about just like general project management, which is different. But that system still required somebody to go in and tick these things off and do the check-ins. And then the same thing goes for weekly business operations. So if you had a scorecard, this is another thing that I implement and I do. It's like you'd have your scorecard and you'd have your stats. And if something was down, then the owner of said thing would need to go and do some analysis and try to figure out a reason why that thing's down. We obviously want it to go up in most cases. Most KPIs you want to go up. If it's conversion rates, obviously. If it's churn, you want that to go down, but conversion go up, right? So it's dependent, but that would be another one where it's like, okay, well, you still want maybe part of it automated where you can pull that in. That's not new. That's just reporting. But maybe the analysis piece would be something that an agent can go and do. And then that would be, in a way, the thing that's managing the staff underneath it. So this could be an interesting use case where it's like at maybe at the daily level, even you could have a KPI agent, and that role would be to check stats, post stats, analyze the changes in the business, and then finally you would actually need to go. So it's going to see, oh, like this thing's off. Like we had an expectation here. Then it's to come up with what the root cause analysis is. And a lot of people are really bad at this because some of it can be what I call squishy or subjective, where you ran an offer and you also released this new technology and you also released this new policy within your staff of sales folks. And if you do like a multivariant test at the same time, it's really hard to identify it, but you can still like speak around it, come up with a thesis. So the squishy ones I think would be more challenging, but you can still prompt around that. Whereas the objective ones where it's like, hey, like conversion is down. Guess what? You guys launched a change that went from having two screens, and you'll notice this like when you check out on Amazon, they have a cart review and then they have checkout. And these pages are always the ones that the PM and the team are always really focused on. So it's like you guys made the button on the checkout page. It actually is no longer stuck to the bottom. So if you had a lot of items or if you had all the details of a new payment method because you launched that, this is now below. So you could have that be tied in. So I do definitely believe that this is where it's going. And it's going to stomp on a lot of the product analytics tools because product analytics tools are they're not like all these are laggard metrics, meaning like they just report on the thing that came before it, but they are built around going and doing what's called an event taxonomy, which is like every step in a funnel has an event, and then those events are then collected and run into funnels, whether it's something that looks like this, or line charts, or histograms, or whatever. But I think a lot of this stuff is going to go away because you don't need to go and find the insights. And I know the product analytics tools in this day and age can find the insights for you, but it's still like you have to go to this thing. They're really expensive. So it all leads back to my thesis, which is like every company is going to have their agent server, and the agent server is going to host all of their stuff. So they're going to have a database, which is their business thing. They're going to have a CRM. They're going to have their business apps. So like the actual like core software. So like maybe they're using Next. They're going to have their Next apps. They're going to have marketing sites that will be separate from those. So those might be using Astro. They're going to have their own instance of RAG. So you might have RAG plus chat. And all this stuff will be used internally. And then on the biggest one will be basically like their agent team. So you'll have a box that's set up that's just agents. And you might have another one that is agents within it. And this is the future, fellas. So this is what I'm building inside of Vibe with AI. And when you join, you get access to this. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This isn't like total promo, but it's like, because this isn't even built yet, I have like the V1 of it. But this is where I think it's going. And I'm basically doing the research inside of this media slash education company so that I can have people give us feedback too. It's like, this might not be right, but with feedback, you'll make it better. So yeah, that's where I think it's going. There's obviously other stuff in here, but I'm not going to go through all of them. Yeah, what happened with the spaghetti video? Backlash won't come from just replaced workers. It'll be everyone who realizes their digital identity is being converted into training data. Yeah, I mean, this just is something that's happening. Like it goes to this concept, which is if you don't make your own identity, someone's going to make it for you. So you need to put yourself out there and have a stronger digital footprint. Cool. That was that one. Let's go into, we talked about the web designers one. Oh, Supabase launched this. This is nuts. They're going after Clerk, if you're familiar. But apparently,
Base makes it incredibly simple to build powerful applications by giving you things like authentication, file storage, and real-time subscriptions out of the box. But sometimes, building your own custom UIs to fully utilize these powerful features can be time-consuming and also error-prone. Today, we're excited to announce the Supabase UI library, a set of convenient, battle-tested components that can be easily dropped into any application. We now provide custom Supabase clients for React, Next.js, Remix, and TanStack Start, so you can get up and running with Supabase immediately. For authentication, we have custom blocks for signing up or signing in, email confirmation, and password reset. For real-time subscriptions, we now have a component that shares cursor positions to build collaborative apps. To easily integrate file storage, we now have this drop zone component that allows you to upload multiple files to Supabase storage. For AI code editors, we now have a set of rules to help steer that agent.
yeah. So this is a really big deal because it goes to my point about
in the
get
right
more
direction.
technical.
So you
This is a game changer. So if you're unfamiliar, Supabase basically has taken backend as a service to the next level. So BaaS. This was originally, it's not the fish. It was originally like Heroku was a good one. Actually, no, that was PaaS. That was platforms. But backend as a service takes all the things. So you write your app over here. So we'll just say app. It could be web app. It could be iOS app. But then you obviously need other things. So in my case, I use Next. And this does the back end and then the front end. And if I need something that's a little bit chunkier, I might go use Express or Go for back end. But for basic stuff, you can get away with Next. And then you need all these other things, right? You need the back end, you need the database. And what the database has is it has an API gateway in front of it. So when I'm writing code and I want to fetch something or I want to do like a CRUD operation, then I can just have like a folder that's called queries. And I can have a folder that's called mutations. And then in each one of these folders, you'd have, like delete log.ts. And then you'd have a singleton, which means like there's one file that represents the instantiation of the connection between the two, meaning like instead of each time like having it's like a bazillion lines of the same thing, you just say, this is our connection to Supabase. And then you'd, in each one of these mutations, which are like changes, or queries, which are lookups, you go and you call that thing. So that's just one like example of what Supabase does, but it's just been like this GUI that you go to, and it's awesome because you can see all the tables. So right, it has the database, has edge functions, which let you do interesting things like, oh, I want to do a trigger where when we add a new blog post, we want to do a trigger that listens for the change and then goes and, I don't know, like remixes the blog into a LinkedIn post and then stores it for whatever reason. Probably wouldn't do that, but it lets you make calls to external APIs. And in this case, it'd be like ChatGPT. But them adding stuff that's not just the kind of administrative backend tooling is really helpful. And then it kind of gets into the area of like, if you look at clerk.com, their whole business is built around just doing that, where it's auth and user management. And it's cool because you can drop in these components. A lot of people hate on them. I don't use them. I just use Supabase, but now it's nice because like I can just grab like, instead of using Clerk, which I don't use, but I just give Supabase a shot and make it really easy for starters because most apps, I mean, you have to have auth, right? So you'd have that, and then you'd have like the React drop zone. So instead of going and grabbing React drop zone as an npm package, you just use the Supabase one, which most likely under the hood is using the same thing, but it's tied in, and they'll probably handle the right like best practices for cookies and all that stuff. What else? Here's another example of the wildness that is 4.0. That's like a really good thumbnail. And then last Supabase one is around their types, the language server for Postgres. This is really helpful. So if you're unfamiliar, language servers, they are built into most IDEs. If you use Vim, then you know you've had to install it with Mason. But a language server basically gives you the syntax errors. So instead of like just raw dogging code and being like, I don't know, you're doing like a P tag and you do capital P, it should be lowercase p. It'll give you like the little squiggle. So that little squiggle is a language server. And by Postgres having one that's from Supabase, it's gonna be really helpful because you write migration code, which is the code that is like an update to the structure of your database. And I've always run into issues with the ones that weren't Supabase related. They just don't work as good. So it's nice to see them going with that. And that brings into the topic of like type safety and language servers and tests and all of these guide rails around your code base. They matter more and more and more in the LLM era. So, um, there's this Murica AI tool. We'll just try it really quickly because I only have like 10 more minutes I can record. So let's try this out. Music production. I've tried the music production ones and they're horrible. So let's see. Let's see, library. We'll do this another time, but more music production stuff. Let's wrap the video by going into this. So I mentioned that I'm like full-time doing this code and media stuff. So I highly recommend you follow along. Made this tweet about Naval talking about it. So it's like code and media are permissionless leverage. They're the leverage behind the newly rich. You can create software and media that works for you while you sleep. Totally a thing. Like, I think the combo of the AI marketing orchestration, aka like vibe marketing, which is going kind of viral, plus personalization equals AI mode. So no one can be you. You need to have you at scale, do stuff that's interesting and worth talking about, and then leverage your technical skills to make the marketing orchestration layer really awesome, and then make the coding bit even more awesome. And that brings in this agent server that I'm developing. Oops, apparently it crashed. Okay. So there's a community called the Cyber Range, and I thought it was really interesting where this guy, he's in cybersecurity, and he built a system where when you join the program, it automatically provisions backend access for the members. So if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, he basically opened up a container, as I understand it, to the open world. And so you can basically, I mean, just read it. Like you can, like it allows people that join to see real time, like cyber security attacks. I'm not going to even pretend like I know enough about this because I don't. But like he made it so that bad actors can hit this engine that he's opened up, and then the members can go and see how that works. So I'm not doing this obviously because I'm not a cybersecurity guy, but I'm an AI agent guy. And so what I wanted to do is build something similar, like I mentioned earlier, where I believe everyone, both personally and in business, will have one of these agent server that has everything on it. And so I'm building one. And right now I just rolled it from an open source project, but it has Supabase Edge functions, Kong, storage, Redis, Qdrint, which is vector storage, N8N, Supabase Auth, Cooler, Open Web UI, which is basically ChatGPT skeleton, kind of like that college thing, Caddy, which allows you to do the deployment. So we're going to have CI/CD through GitHub, where whenever I make changes and I push to main, it'll just kick off those runners, and then it'll deal with reverse proxying. If you're not familiar with that, it's like, how do you get all the traffic that's coming into here? Like if we have traffic that's coming in, how does it know which one to go to, right? Because one of these next apps might be mapthemap.com, the other one might be parkerx.com. So we'll have reverse proxying in there, so you can do that. And then the real-time stuff, this is through Supabase, but it uses Elixir under the hood. So if you need real-time chat, if you need anything real-time, Elixir's like really awesome at that. Yeah, that's what they use at WhatsApp. If you go read early WhatsApp days, like that guy's obsessed with it. Supabase Studio, which is the GUI you see. This thing, Sirexin, I don't even know how to say it, but this is open source Perplexity. Flowease is another no code automation tool. And then you have image proxy, all this other stuff. So what I'll be doing is I'm just adding more things to this. So the next one that I'll be adding is the CI/CD pipeline. So it feels like Vercel. If you've automated or if you've pushed code to Vercel, you know like why everyone's obsessed with it is because you just push and then you get a preview branch and all that. So that'll include preview URLs across all the different apps within it. And then obviously production. So that's what I'm going to be adding there. And then I need to add the actual Next.js apps. I need to add Astro support. I'm really interested in the idea of having Astro as dedicated marketing sites because they're just blazing fast and I want optionality. Other stuff that I need to add into there would likely be just some sort of like HTOP or PM2, but something that you can know. It's like the maintenance support. So that's a different topic, but like monthly maintenance. So you're making sure that your box is always up to date and that all the containers, like if Supabase comes out with something, then you want to make sure that you're on the latest version, that there's no issues. And then monitoring. And for anyone that's made it this far and knows more about this than me, what are your guys' recommendations on this? Because I've just done self-hosted stuff for like single apps, and now I'm doing this one. And I'm planning on having the ability for people to take this and then duplicate it for every member that joins school. They'll get access to the repo. But I want to know what the best way to do this would be for both provisioning them their own ones automatically, like having it like spin up the box so that like as soon as payment is received for this offer, this thing's done and they get access. So I need to figure that out if you guys have ideas. And then obviously on the monitoring side, I'd be curious. So please comment below on that. And then what else? Yeah, so that's the plan there. And then the roadmap. This is for the roadmap for the media content, media stuff that I'm doing. So I think that I'm basically treating this like it's a Twitch channel where I'm going to be live streaming slash recording most of the stuff that I do. So you can kind of see where it goes and I'll play around with the idea of like showing the numbers. What's been interesting is this channel's been up for 23 days and it's accrued 100 or 290 people, which is awesome. But then including revenue metrics and all of that is something I'm playing around with. And then I'll be building basically different offers within there. So behind the scenes stuff for the media brand that I'm building, which I'll be really excited about doing. And then behind the scenes stuff for building out Map, which is this product, which is multi-agentic. It has 5 tools in one. So you have your notes, your tasks, your health, your chat, and your calendars. And then each one of these has sub agents within it. And then there's a master agent that runs the whole thing. So that's that. And the way I'm doing it is basically by having a set schedule. So it's like Netflix style content for nerds. And for me, it's awesome because when you put yourself on a schedule, when I make the thing, I have to do it. Like I have to stick to my word. So I'm going to be trying to push myself to do the prep ahead of time, which is the research. And then the development will be the episodes. And I'll be doing them live so people can join and ask questions. And it should just push everyone forward, which is great. And then the home server, like the agent server gets better. People that have questions about the agent server can then get those answered. We can work together on it. And then there'll also be this like roadmap thing that I'm making, which is just like what content am I consuming off these videos, besides these little news things that I think would benefit people that are interested in getting more technical in the AI era. So even things like Hacker Diaries is really awesome to like learn about security. And I think I need to wrap this video up, but in the next one, I'll likely wrap this thumbnail to prompt with Vertex AI into the video that we got to comment on, because that would be an example of a container that's tied to an app where it's like, if I go to Vertex, and I go to home server, you can see, whatever. But basically what it allowed me to do is take a prompt, have prompt variables, line those prompt variables up to a form. If it's a reverse engineer product where you want to get a PRD based on reverse engineering an existing product. You'd answer like 6 or 7 questions. It'll generate that and give you that as an output in Vertex. You can make those prompt variables and you can just one-click deploy it as a container. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And I think it's going to be really helpful. If you guys want to join and be a part of this journey of building the agent server, make sure you check out the link below for the school. You can join there or request to join. We are going to be going live with it today. And make sure you like the video. That's so more people can see it. And it's like your way of basically saying, hey, this video is good. So like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.